What's the difference between miracles and witchcraft in the New Testament, if any? Stay tuned to find out. Hello everyone, I'm Angela and welcome to my Symposium. I'm a PhD and a university lecturer, and this is your online resource for the academic study of magic, shamanism, paganism, and all things esoteric, really. Today we're trying to explore whether there is indeed a difference between magic, witchcraft, sorcery, and the idea of miracles, regarding the wondrous acts of Jesus as narrated by the Christian Testament, also known as the New Testament by Christians. The answer I offer here is drawn from a book called Jesus and Magic by Professor Richard Horsley. The popular understanding of miracles is founded on two pillars. The first being that a miracle is supernatural as opposed to something natural, and the second being that miracles occur through the intercession of a deity. This interpretation is often endorsed by Christians who, trying to explain the extraordinary healing and exorcisms performed by Jesus in the Gospels, wish to distinguish them from any other kind of sorcery or witchcraft and to highlight the godly nature of these acts. Thus, one may beg the question, did the Israelites, Romans, and Greeks of the time share the concept of miracle as we understand it today? And is there a difference clearly stated in the Gospels between an act of witchcraft and a miracle? Well, the answer to both questions is no. As Horsley highlights, the Gospels have no concept that corresponds to the modern concept of miracle. What we now understand as a miracle does not really appear in the Gospel accounts of Jesus, and its application to his healings and exorcisms may also be quite questionable. Horsley explains here that the Hellenistic Roman cultural elite had no concept that corresponds to the modern Western idea of miracle. There is no correspondent term to be found neither in Josephus' histories nor in Greek or Latin texts of the time. Similar terms which were used at the time referred to wonders, omens, portents, prodigies, or signs, as well as ominous events or other strange occurrences, which would bring either fortune or misfortune to public figures or to the community. Terms used to refer to such events were sometimes attributed to divine interference and sometimes not. The emergence of the Latin term miraculum in late antiquity provides the link to the later Christian and then modern interpretation of miracle. In early usage, miraculum was used to describe something that aroused wonder. However, by the 2nd century CE, it began to be used to denote wondrous events attributed to a deity, as it happens in the Metamorphoses by Apuleius. And yet, healings were not prominent among such wonders, possibly because they were not really deemed all that extraordinary. While the term and idea of miracle had no such meaning at the time of Jesus, by late antiquity Christians came to use the term for the wonders Jesus worked, as well as for the acts of the martyrs. Differently from post-Enlightenment intellectuals, thinkers of the first centuries of the Common Era did not make a sharp distinction between divine causation and reason or nature, between the supernatural, miraculous, and the natural. The divine was in fact deemed rational and natural, as the gods were an integral part of nature and the cosmos. In Judean and Hellenistic cultures, it was accepted that certain people might exude special and unusual powers. But there was no special classification of that as a miracle or supernatural. There was perhaps more of a distinction between clean or pure and unclean or impure practices and spirits, rather than sorcery versus miracles. Also, the Gospels do not really explain the cause or nature of the acts of Jesus. They focus more on the figure of Jesus and the interactions between Jesus with the healed persons, as well as the effects those healings caused. There is no demarcation drawn between witchcraft and miracles, but just an emphasis on the acts of Jesus and how they affected people around him. To sum it up, the Gospels do not draw any distinction between miracles and witchcraft, and the idea that the first is sourced by God, whereas the second is connected to evil spirits and entities, can be ascribed to a later Christian interpretation. Equally, the idea of the miraculous being supernatural is a modern conceptualization of the term miracle that builds upon the post-Enlightenment idea of a dichotomy between natural and supernatural, linked to its new and, I'd add, scientific worldview. Now I wonder, what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with this take? Let's open a discussion in the comment section. And don't forget to mention your sources. As here on Angela's Symposium, we are all about sound arguments and well-referenced contributions. A big warm welcome to the new members of my inner symposium. Thank you for pledging to my Patreon and for allowing me to keep creating academic content for my social platforms. And as for you, if you want to join a community of highly educated individuals to discuss all things esoteric, please consider pledging to my Patreon. We have a book club, exclusive lectures, and social gatherings, and it'd be great to have you there. So this is it for today's video. If you liked it, as always, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell so that you will get a notification every time that I upload a new video, and stay tuned because there is incoming academic fun on this channel. Bye!